see would break my heart away, nothing changed. Just a mirror frame, same corruption, just a brand new name. My people, I'm sad to say, you reaping all you sow today. The pride and industry fade away, and now we fighting to...
Welcome to the Citizens Budget Response 2026. Good evening. Accountability does not require a seat in government. And that's why we're here this evening. I'm Marcia Weeks, the host of the Marcia Weeks Show and one of the facilitators of the Loyal Opposition. Tonight, we gather in a moment that is both historic and unusual. It's historic because this is the first budget presented outside of an IMF program in years. It's unusual because in Barbados today, there's no parliamentary opposition. There's no leader of the opposition rising in the House to stress test the numbers. So tonight, that responsibility falls to us, those of you here and those of you who are watching at home. Not to shout, not to disrupt, but to scrutinize. Because democracy does not pause when one side of the aisle is empty. This budget presents itself as a success story. We are told debt to GDP is now 93.3% after rebasing. Foreign reserves exceed $3 billion. Unemployment is at 6.1%, the lowest in our history. There have been 19 consecutive quarters of growth. Those are not small claims, those are serious claims. And if they're durable, they are meaningful. But tonight, we ask the question that must be asked. Is this budget structurally strong or narrowly balanced? Is this transformation or temporary stabilization? Is this resilience or recovery under pressure? Because alongside those positive headlines, we also heard something else. We heard that corporate tax assumptions had to be reduced by $200 million. We heard that nearly $300 million in expenditure adjustments were made to stay on target. We heard that global instability, oil shocks, freight disruptions, geopolitical tensions forced changes to the original projections. So, this is not a budget presented in calm waters. It is a budget presented in turbulence. And when turbulence comes, strong structures survive and narrow margins collapse. Let us be clear about the pillars of this budget. The first pillar is fiscal discipline. And under that we found debt reduction, IMF exit, credit rating upgrades, stronger reserves. But we must ask, if revenue assumptions are already being revised downward, how much cushion truly exists? Second pillar, infrastructure expansion. Capital expenditure rising sharply toward $875 million next fiscal year. That is ambitious. But ambition without execution capacity becomes a risk. Does the state have the projected management strength to absorb that scale? Or will borrowing quietly increase? The third pillar of the budget, cost of living relief. And under that, we have a 1% income tax cut, increased revenue, reverse tax credit, VAT caps on fuel, electricity subsidies, $100 monthly credits for vulnerable groups. These measures we know matter to households. But are they structural reforms or temporary reliefs? And if oil rise again, what happens? The fourth pillar, social and security measures. Child Wealth Fund, gun courts, police expansion, skills retraining, energy stabilization. These are important interventions. But do they address root causes or manage symptoms? Tonight, we are not here to tear down. We're here to test. Because without opposition inside Parliament, accountability must live outside of it. The question is not whether this budget sounds disciplined. That's not the question. The question is whether it is shock-proof. If tourism slows, if oil spikes, if freight costs rise again, if corporation tax underperforms again, what happens? Do we borrow more? Do we cut spending? Do relief measures quietly disappear? That is the fiscal fork in the road for us Barbados. We deserve stability. But more than that, Barbados deserves durability. Durability means that the next external shock does not send us scrambling. Durability means that revenue is strong enough to sustain relief. Durability means that growth is diversified, not dependent. Durability means infrastructure expansion is financed responsibly. Tonight, our panel will examine this budget through multiple lenses. Through the fiscal and structural lens, through the labor lens, through the psychological and social lens, through the impact on small business, through the lived reality of workers in households. Each speaker will interrogate a different dimension because accountability requires depth and not noise. So let me say this clearly. We respect the work done to stabilize the economy. But stability does not mean that we're immune. It doesn't mean immunity. And optimism is not insulation. So tonight we ask hard questions, not because we want failure, but because we want strength. We want resilience. We want a Barbados that does not merely survive shocks, but withstands them. So with that said, let us begin. So our first panelist is Mr. Sean Tudor, who has a background in international banking and finance with management experience. And tonight he will bring the economic analysis. Welcome to the panel, Sean.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, we start the budget. The Minister of Finance, he certainly did keep the election promises with the cost of living mitigation measures, and those are to be commended. And then they went on to make an effort to cushion the shock from what's going on now with the oil prices and so on, with the government going into the forwards market and securing the oil price, and so on. That is commendable. That is locked in for about 3 months. And those measures are to be welcome. The cost of living measures that have been placed that you read out, we don't need to go over them, but those are to be welcome. The measures that the government has taken to cushion the shock and to help Barbadians to absorb some of the shock that's coming from the geopolitical event, those things are to be welcome. And but certainly there wasn't a sufficient link with the estimates. You didn't get it coming through. Well, how is all this going to, how is it going to link back from the estimate? How is the government going to finance the deficit and so on this year? And we certainly didn't get enough on the energy, the energy plan. How are we going to become more sustainable and more resilient? It makes no sense us importing and moving to electric cars, and then we are plugging in to electricity that's being generated by the fossil fuel, by the expensive fossil fuel. So we really have to have a larger plan and program in terms of the renewable and so on, that we can be more sustainable. And in addition to that, with the food security, unless we are able to do more for ourselves, we will continue to be vulnerable to these shocks that come up from time to time. But there's one particular aspect that the government continues to rely on, and they continue to boast about this, and that is this famous debt to GDP ratio.
Yes.
Not sure where the Minister of Finance got his figure of the debt being 178%, debt to GDP ratio being 178%. Clearly, he's not using the same figures as the central bank, because if you look at the central bank figures, you would see that the debt was 15.84 billion at the time when the new administration took over, and the debt to GDP ratio was at that time 158%. So the government is saying, in the Minister of Finance, they're saying, and it is a correct calculation, that the debt to GDP ratio is now under that psychological 100%, is 93.3 or 94 around there. And they're saying we have reduced the debt. No, that is not exactly correct. The government hasn't reduced the debt. What has happened is the debt to GDP ratio has gone down. At the start, the government repudiated some debt, restructured, to their credit, restructured some of the debt, and we were able to shave off about 4 billion from that 15.84 billion at the time. And then at the end of 2018, the debt was reported around 12.75 billion. But the government continued to borrow and to borrow and to borrow and to borrow from there. And the debt has actually been increasing every year from that year. Even in the budget, if you look at the annex, the Minister of Finance says we borrowed 8 billion from 2018 until now. We borrowed 8 billion. So what has happened is that the debt to GDP ratio has gone down. It looks better. It appears much better. We will talk about how we came to this. And it's not because the debt has gone up, but because the nominal GDP has increased. Now, if you just take it at face value, that in 2018, the GDP was about 10.5 billion, and now you're looking at a GDP of 16.1 billion or thereabout. You would, if you just look at it, you would think that the economy has expanded by 60%. But everybody in Barbados knows that it is not the case that that the economy is 50% better than 2018. It is not the lived experience of Barbadians that there is this 60% increase in production and output in Barbados. That is not the lived experience. The lived experience of people in Barbados is that it is a very difficult time and cost of living is very high, and people are hardly being able to afford just the basics. Hence, the government promised a significant amount of cost of living mitigation things, because it is not exactly a robust, prosperous economy, but a very tight thing and high cost of living for Barbadians. But this nominal GDP figure, it was rebased, and when you rebase the the GDP. I think the minister said it was rebased. Was it 23? And when you rebase, you normally get a fairly significant uptick up in the GDP,
yeah.
and therefore your GDP, your debt to GDP ratio looks a lot better. No, it is not. It is not wrong for the government to do that. As a matter of fact, the IMF and various of these international financial institutions recommend that you rebase as often as necessary in order to keep the GDP, because what happens is that the benefit of doing that is that your debt to GDP ratio goes down. You become more attractive to external investors, and you are able to borrow, you get better rates. But so there is a so there is a lot of incentive for rebasing the nominal GDP. And when you have a lot of inflation around and you rebase, you do get a significant uptick. There's one classic example where this happened in Nigeria, where in 2014 they revised their 2013 GDP, and they got, because it hadn't been rebased for, and they got an uptick of 89% of GDP, significantly up. So what we are seeing here is inflation and rebasing, and that is what has raised the nominal GDP to that level. But the average Barbadian know that it hasn't improved 60% for me. My wages haven't gone up 60%. Companies don't have sales that increases 60% more. That kind of robust economy is not there. It's not the lived experience of Barbadians. So yes, the economic ratios are better because of that uptick in nominal GDP. If you look at the central bank report, all down the front, you have the deficit as a percentage of GDP and so on. All these things are much smaller as a result of the GDP going up. But it's not because output has increased that much. It's not because there's so much more productivity in the country. It's not because there's diversification and so on. It is just because we have rebased the nominal GDP and there's inflation in there and so on.
Yeah. Wow. I could hear the audience. and I know you're getting your questions ready, because you know what? We're just starting the ball rolling, for the citizens. Yeah, so we're not going to be just sitting here and enjoying, or we're going to participate, all right? Now, I just have a quick question for you.
Yes, ma'am.
Are we borrowing for productivity or consumption?
Wow. You were borrowing to finance the government's deficit. So you would have to look and see if it is productivity or if it's just consumption. You look at the overall government's program, but essentially you're borrowing there for the, for the deficit, and of course we want to maintain the foreign reserves at a strong level, so that is part of the incentive to borrow as well too.
Yes, thank you so much, Mr. Sean Tudor. And now we're going to have Mr. Kevin Cadogan. He's going to make his presentation. He's a young Barbadian professional with over a decade of experience in hospitality and retail industries. And he's going to talk about the impact of the budget on the workers and, labor in Barbados. Welcome, Mr. Cadogan.
Thank you, everybody, and thank you for inviting me, Marcia. Just making sure everyone can hear me clearly. And
can you put the mic a little
of course,
closer?
sorry about that. So to every worker and every Barbadian watching tonight, my colleague just basically made a very good introduction for me as well in everything that he said. So right now, I just want to cut through all the applause and all the percentages that were spoken at the budget and just let me get on to brass tacks. Yeah? So realistically, as an average Barbadian or average person, you're listening to the budget, when you listen to all the fanfare, it sounds really impressive. They spoke about certain topics such as low unemployment, 19 consecutive years of, consecutive quarters of growth, infrastructure spending at record levels, tax relief, fuel caps, you know, a whole heap of nice sounding numbers and statistics. But realistically, we the workers, we don't live in statistics. We just live in the supermarkets. Yeah? And the uncomfortable truth is that right now, they're speaking about low unemployment. Yeah? And for me, if unemployment is at this historic low that they're speaking of, why are so many of us still saying that when we go in the supermarket, we can't breathe? You know, when you spend that little $100 bill, you're just coming out with a bag or two. Like, not to, my humblest apologies. I just tried to shop in Cherish and Poplar, so, you know. But they spoke about things such as salary increases were given 3 times. Why? But for me, I am a monthly paid person. Yet still, when I'm paid, like I just struggle to meet the end of the month with my monthly pay. And it's these things that were not addressed in the budget for me that I am concerned about. Yeah? Because for me, the budget speaks about things like growth, but I still feeling that sense of survival, where all this growth and all these fancy figures, every day I wake up, I still thinking about the next day, like if I make a mistake today, what is going to happen tomorrow for me? I really have to do serious budgeting and make sure that I just make it through each day by day. And, you know, 1%, they spoke about things like the 1% income tax reduction. And again, they made everything sound so fancy and so nice. But realistically, what is 1%? What is 1%? Maybe if you up there and you know you're making millions of dollars a year, 1% may feel good to you. But I don't know if you all are aware of what the minimum wages in Barbados. But if you calculate 1% of the minimum wage in Barbados, that is chump change when the weeks come. That is like less than $10 when the weeks come that you'll be trying to save. But in comparison to that $10 a week that you're going to save, what's really going on in the supermarkets right now? What's really going on with the oil prices? Because as far as I'm concerned, within the last couple of months, chicken went up, vegetables gone up, cooking oil gone up, transport costs because of fuel and gasoline gone up. So with this 1% in comparison to all of the increases in other things, does it really mean something to us? You know, like, does it really outpace the inflation that's going on around us, to be honest? Yeah, save $10, but unfortunately, gas at the end of the month costs more than $40 than what you would normally spend. So it's these sort of things. And for me, if you ask yourself if the wage increase or the little cuts that they make outpace the inflation, and you ever say to yourself, which I know everybody can say, no, it does not. My thing is it really relief for us, or is it just accounting relief on the books? You understand? Like, my thing is, yes, I can be realistic. I like certain things they said. It sounds good. They said that VAT was capped. They said that electricity is going to be subsidized. They said that there's a temporary lock on fuel and oil. But you see that word temporary? That word temporary. These things are temporary. You will help be temporary. But our bills are permanent. We bills don't stop. After 3 months, it ain't like, oh, later we can say, or, you know, skip a couple of months or anything like that. We still got to work and we still got to make sure that we survive and we can take care of our families. Again, that word survival, that survive instinct. That is what we're doing every single day. But nice sounding budget. Very nice sounding budget. Anyhow, the budget, as Marcia mentioned before, they spoke about the reduction in corporation tax for up to $2 million and cuts in the expenditure, corporation expenditure for nearly $300 million. I love how this sounds. Wow. But my question is, where are these cuts landing? Who really taking the sacrifice when finished? There you go, because when the corporations have to make these cuts, you know what they're going to do? They're going to make cuts as well. So, when the government says things such as like expenditure restraint, for me as a working person, you know what it is here? I hear the word freeze, delay, trim. That is what I'm going to do to my salary and my hours. Because at the end of the day, the corporation's here to make a business. A business is out there. What business is for again? To make money, not to take care of us. That is what businesses are for. So at the end of the day, when you cut things from businesses, is not the business that is going to really suffer. The business is going to find somewhere to subsidize what they have going on so that they can continue to make the profits for their CEOs and the management and what's not. There you go. So my next question now is, look at the QEH. Are the nurses safe? Look at the educational programs in Barbados. Are the teachers safe? And when I say safe, I'm not even just thinking about salaries. I'm talking about their well-being and everything. And to me, teaching is a very serious job. I have children. My children go to school, and my children's teachers are my partners and my friends because they help raise my children. So if you are not taking care of our nurses, our teachers, our police, I don't know if you all saw the crime rise for the last couple of years, but all of these little things are things that we need to be studying when we think about these budgets, not all the fancy fanfare and what we like to call the glitter that they like to parade and show off for us, that sort of way. Yeah? But in my mind, what is going on right now is something that has been going on for over the last 8 years plus. This is something I call restraint politics. Basically, restraint politics is a strategy that they use to bring limits and boundaries to us to help promote cooperation, to try to help us to act accordingly. I think that's the better way to put it. That's the better way to put it. For us to act accordingly. And these are the things we have to be mindful for when we're just listening to all of these budgets and everything like that. So, back to the budget. They spoke about unemployment being at 6.1%. Fine, sounds good. They spoke about things like infrastructure and creating employment opportunities. Sounds great. But my question now, as a regular Bajan like everybody else, is what type of employment are they providing for us? Because how many of us that live in Barbados still working part-time jobs? How many persons on short-term contracts? Well known for that. How many persons juggling 2 jobs just trying to survive? And this is very important to me. How many people are underemployed? You go to school, you spend your money, you try to get your degree, but then when you finish, we getting there too, girl. You cannot find a good job. And to the point that a certain minister said, if you can't find one here, go overseas. So this is my Barbados, and you're telling me, no problem. But we can continue. Trying to keep it PG-13, right, Marcia? Yes. All right. All right. So to me personally, low unemployment means nothing. You could tell me 6.1, you could tell me 3.2, you could tell me what you feel it telling me. But if right now the jobs that are being provided don't provide security for me and my family, don't provide good pensions, don't provide dignity, like I can't go to work and feel good because I got a nice job getting paid well. Realistically, again, fancy figures and all this nice stuff means nothing to me because I live it, I feel it daily. Daily. There you go. Should. But at the end of the day, they don't mention these things, they just mention low unemployment and makes it sound really, really well. No problem. We are also told about this digital transformation, AI, advanced manufacturing, 75% training subsidies. Sounds great. That is all I like to say. It honestly sounds great. If you know no better, it sounds great. However, all this AI and all this advanced manufacturing, all this digital transformation, what about the 50-year-old retailers that's still trying to fight for a pension, that going to work daily? The 60-year-old taxi drivers, I don't got time to sit down and try to study what is Jack GPT and this and that and next and the third. I don't know about these things. What about all the security guards out there just hustling for a little dollar where the night comes standing up, facing this world, putting their life at risk? Then we get a chance to get retrained to be able to do more for the country? It's these sort of questions we got to start asking ourselves. My thing is the current administration right now trying to think about building a good future for us? Or in my mind, it feels as though they're quietly trying to leave behind today's workers. They're speaking everything about the future. Don't get me wrong, I still am a youth, and I'm part of the future. But realistically, if you keep speaking just about this AI and this technology, things that are in there, persons, I don't know if you all know, but right now Barbados is suffering from what's called an aging population, where a majority of the persons in Barbados actually above the working age, so them got to deal with retirement and stuff like that. That is why the reason they had to raise the retirement age and everything. So, pardon me? At that, okay. Oh, yeah. I hope it's at that age. It's true. It is very true. But my thing is, these older persons in Barbados, as they're working right now, how are they going to look at all of these cell phones and computers and these iPads and this, that, and this, things that they do not understand? How are they supposed to fit into this society that they helped to build as well? How are they supposed to feel justified and fair in what is going on right now when I can't understand nothing that is going on? I mean, don't get me wrong. I can agree with this one point. The budget, to me, it sounds like a stabilization budget for the country. As though, it is managed to shock right now. It protects the country's credit rating. It defends the reserves. Again, thank you very much. But that is very important. Don't get me wrong, that is very important. But for me, in listening to all the information, where is the bold structural wage reform? Where is the national conversations about living wages, wages that you can live off of real cost of living? Where is the serious intervention in food pricing enforcement? These are the things that we should be trying to hear from our ministers and our representatives. These are the things we should be looking for in the budget, but unfortunately, we just get all the, as per usual, fanfare. We're getting all the fanfare. My thing is, are we, the workers, really feeling better off in our pockets? Are we? No. There you go. Correct. But what it's looking like to me is like this is a paper relief strategy. Then go right down real pretty, look good on paper, but in real life, is it real relief for us, the workers? Because for me, the workers are so important to this country and this economy. We do not have anything to export to our neighbors, to the region, internationally, anything other than labor, and it used to be sugar. I don't even want to put sugar in there anymore. But labor is our natural resource right now. I don't know if you're all aware of this, but labor is our natural resource right now.
Labor can be our natural cause. Again, it's the Ghanaians, the Colombians.
So they're not taking our natural resources seriously anymore. You understand? Even though the workers in this country went through everything and still here holding on in this country. We went through the fiscal crisis. We went through the pandemic. We went through inflation shock. We went through geopolitical disruptions. We went through so much things. We sacrifice, we adapt, and we endure all of these things. So for me, the question when listening to this budget and the question tonight is not whether the government manages the crisis. That is not the question right now. The question is, did the workers share in this recovery scheme that they're producing to us right now? Or we just supposed to survive it again as per the usual? Because right now, stability without a shared prosperity is a very fragile thing. A very, very fragile thing. And if growth does not translate into a stronger household balance sheets, as in when you sit down and you do your little accounting at home, you can say, well, right now, you got to spend that much money, but I'm still earning this amount of money, and the money that I'm earning outweighing the money that I have to spend, and I feel comfortable. If we don't see that, all of the pretty talk, all the percentages, all the statistics, is not going to quiet the frustration in my heart, in our hearts, until things get better in this country. So right now, I think we should stop asking or speaking about the economy growing. And I think the harder or the better question to ask right now is, are the workers, are the people of Barbados growing with the economy? That is the labor test. And that is the budget, and sorry, that is the question that the budget should be answering for us.
Wow. That is some serious questions there, Kevin. I have a question for you, though. Does relief reach the middle class or only targeted groups with this budget? Does relief reach the middle class or only targeted groups?
Again, the paper relief is trying to make it seem as though it is spread around everybody. But again, we on the ground, we live in it. All right, I will give you a nice example of something. About, not last year, a year of, this 2026, 2024, when I had the big World Cup, Kensington. We borrowed money, and I can say we because I am Barbados. We borrowed money to renovate the Oval. The promise was these X amount of tourists are going to come in. The small person, the middle class person, we can make money off a taxi fare, off the bars and the shops, off the craft shops, off of these things. We can make money off of these things. But you know what I have learned in all of my years in the service industry? Barbados is so hard to live in that the tourists save to come to this country right now. So when they come, similar to like when we want to go to America and we're going to budget everything, they are budgeting everything. So when they come, them just going in the supermarkets, Massy, which belongs to an external country, they're going all of these other places to make sure that they can survive in Barbados. So if they choose to come out, if you get a good 4 for 10 sell, you make a lot of money for the night. So my answer to your question is, we are not really included in this. Why? Because all of these cuts and everything, again, very temporary, just to make us feel as though no, something is happening. But then in 3 months to come, when all of these subsidies disappear, we still here suffering again. So no, it's not for the middle class person. No, it's not for the lower class person.
Thank you so much, Mr. Kevin Cadogan. And I remind you, get your questions ready. I know some of you want to talk, ask your questions or make your comments while the panelists are on. But, you know, write your comments down or the thoughts that you have. Because tonight is really about you. We're going to come in the audience with the microphone, and we want to know, you know, what does this budget mean to you? How do you think it's going to impact your life? All right? So we're going to get there. Now, we have Miss Caroline Rock, hailing from St. Lucie. She is a trained, we have some St. Lucie people. So, wait, we have some St. Lucie people in the house? Okay, Caroline Rock, she's a trained psychologist who is also qualified in sociology. And so she's going to look at the psychological and social impact of the budget speech, the 2026-2027 budget speech on Barbadians. Over to you, Caroline. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you, Marcia. My fellow Barbadians, tonight I am not here to argue spreadsheets. I am here to examine something more powerful than numbers. What this budget is doing to the minds of Barbadians, and what it is shaping in our society. Because budgets are not just financial documents. They are psychological tools. They frame reality. They influence perception, and they condition expectation. And when there's no formal opposition in Parliament, it becomes even more important that citizens understand the emotional architect of what they are hearing. The psychology of we have arrived. We are told this is a turning point. We are told the debt to GDP ratio is now 93.3%. We are told unemployment is the lowest in history. We are told we are off every blacklist. That language produces psychological relief, right? It tells the country, you are safe now. But here's the danger. When government declare victory, citizens can unconsciously lower their guard. And in a democracy with no parliamentary opposition, lowered guard is not a small thing. Relief is good. Complacency is dangerous. Because while the ratio may be 93.3%, the lived reality in households has not shifted in proportion to that number. Supermarket prices remain high. Fuel remains volatile. So the psychological question is this: are we celebrating structural transformation, or are we celebrating statistical improvements? These are not the same thing. The sociology of one-party dominance. The speech acknowledges that Barbadians believe in democracy and in an opposition. But that one party now occupies every constituency seat. Sociologically, that is extraordinary. When one voice dominates Parliament, criticisms moves to the margins. Dissent becomes personalized. Public questioning can begin to feel disloyal. That shifts social culture. And culture matters more than numbers. If people begin to feel censored because they do not want to appear ungrateful or negative, we weaken democratic muscle memory. A healthy society normalizes scrutiny. Without structured opposition inside Parliament, citizens must become the structured opposition outside of it. That requires alertness, not applause alone. Cost of living, cushioning or conditioning. We heard about a $100 monthly cost of living credit, increased reverse tax credit, VAT caps and fuel interventions. Now let us be fair. Those measures provide short-term relief. They ease anxiety. They stabilize households under pressure. But here is the sociological concern. Are we solving the root drivers of cost of living? Or are we normalizing permanent state cushioning? There is a subtle psychological shift that can happen in societies from empowerment to expectation, from productivity to protection. If every external shock is met primarily with government absorption, citizens begin to psychologically anchor their security to the state instead of to economic transformation. Relief must not replace reform. The Child Wealth Fund is it hope or political psychology? The $5,000 Child Wealth Fund is emotionally powerful. It signals we are invested in our children. That builds hope, and hope is politically potent. But sociologically, we must ask, is this structural funded long-term? What expectations does it create across a generation? What happens in a fiscal downturn? Because hope, if later constrained, can become resentment. Policies that build psychological optimism must also be institutionally durable. The energy shield narrative. We are told government has locked in fuel prices and is absorbing increases. The message is, we are shielding you from global chaos. That builds confidence in leadership, but it also reinforces a psychological narrative of vulnerability, that Barbados is perpetually at the mercy of global forces. A mature economic strategy must not only shield, it must strengthen productive independence. If citizens feel constantly protected but not structurally empowered, long-term national confidence does not deepen. The gap between statistics and stress. We are told there are 19 consecutive quarters of growth. That sounds impressive. But growth does not automatically translate into reduced stress. Ask households. Are savings increasing? Is rent affordable? Are young professionals staying or planning to migrate? Sociologically, if growth is not broadly experienced, it creates quiet frustration beneath headline success. And quiet frustration is more dangerous than loud protests because it erodes trust slowly. Final words to Barbadians. This budget contains stabilization. It contains relief. It contains ambition. But it also contains powerful emotional framing. In the absence of a formal opposition response, we must not allow emotional reassurance to replace democratic scrutiny. Celebrate progress, yes, but interrogate sustainability. Welcome relief, yes, but demand structural transformation. The real psychological strength of a nation is not blind loyalty. It is informed confidence. And informed confidence requires questioning. even when the applause is loud. Barbados must not become a society that confuses unity with silence or reassurance with resilience. The responsibility now rests not just in Parliament, but in the consciousness of the people. And I repeat that final point. The responsibility now rests not just in Parliament, but in the consciousness of the people. I thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Rock. And Ms. Rock, you made mention of some of these measures, which seem to be more social protection rather than transformational. Can you talk, expand on that a little bit more? Are these measures, that they're doing the 1%, decrease in income tax, all these different measures, that the fuel cap, etc. Is it more protective than transformational?
From what I see, it is more, it gives you a good feeling at this point in time. At this point in time. But is it something that is going to continue as prices rise? What will these dollar figures mean to us? How is it gonna change? How is it gonna help us? Right now, you feel okay, you a certain sense of protection, but it is just for now. It is not anything long term, because this is going to change very quickly.
Thank you so much. Now, before we bring this mic to the citizens, the other citizens, because we're citizens too. We're just getting the ball rolling, and then we're going to be coming to you in the audience. I want us to just take a couple minutes and just to talk about the debt per capita ratio, which for some reason that is not mentioned at all in the budget. And I want to ask Sean to just talk about that a little bit, and each of you just real quickly comment on that. Yeah. So Sean is going to start off.
I just want to find the exact figures here.
While he does that, I just want to say to everyone that you have 2 minutes, so you don't have a presentation. And you can speak more than once, but we want to allow as many persons as possible to give their view on the budget. What does it mean to me, the budget, as a Barbadian? Okay? So get ready with that. Go right ahead, Sean.
Yes, the main thing to know about this debt to GDP ratio, that as long as the GDP is increasing faster than the debt, the ratio will fall. So because the debt to GDP ratio is falling, it doesn't mean that the debt is going down. It just means that the GDP is increasing more faster than the debt, which is exactly the case in Barbados. Because in 2018, you had 15.84 billion in debt, and that represented 158%. Debt ratio was 158%. Now you have 15.1 billion in debt, and that represents 93.3% of GDP. So the quantum of debt in Barbados is very much the same. We are almost back exactly to where we were before the restructuring happened. Mm-hmm. And the point is that if like 2.3, the debt was not repudiated, it would actually be over, we would be close to 18 billion in debt right now. But the debt has increased. So after that adjustment, after the repudiation of the debt, and to the credit of the administration, they were able to restructure some of the debt, and so it was written as much as 4.1 million, some repudiation, some restructuring. And then at the end of 2018, the debt was registered at 12.75 billion, and it has steadily increased and increased and increased until today the government says, and the central bank, it is 15.1 billion. So the debt per capita, so in 2018, every Barbadian, the pensioners, the one you're giving the $100 to, working people, school children, primary school children, who just born at the hospital and even left the hospital yet, they're coming into this Barbadian, even the ones that are born in the Republic, that you're giving the $5,000 a year to. At that time, it was 56 holding, each Barbadian was effectively carrying the debt of 56,000. Now, with this, even though the debt to GDP ratio has gone down to 93.3, it is still, every citizen is still effectively carrying 53,900. So you basically drop from 56,000 to 54,000, every citizen. So the quantum of debt in Barbados is still very much the same, and that cannot be disputed. That is there in the central bank report, and the minister actually says it. And I'm saying to you that as we continue this financial year, chances are with the borrowing that will have to happen in this financial year, we will actually now have the highest debt that we ever had in Barbados by the end of this financial year as they go through. So the quantum of debt is very much the same. The debt per capita is very much the same. They're not reducing debt. We're continuing to borrow a lot. What is happening is that the GDP, nominal GDP, is rising faster than the debt is rising.
Yes, thank you, thank you. So each of you sitting in the audience, how much is your debt? Anybody? I'm going to come to you. but let's go to Kevin. Just a quick response and another quick response from Caroline, and then we're going to go to the audience.
Well, Sean basically hit all the nails on the head when it came to the numbers. For me personally, I like to just break down things as simple as possible for persons like Ninja Man to understand. Rest in peace. Amen. So, GDP, I don't know if everybody understands what GDP really is, but thanks to Kevin Greenidge, I really went and researched it a lot. So GDP, our gross domestic product, is basically the amount of, let me use layman term, money that is created through the sale of goods and services in the country over a period of time. And when I say goods and services, it come from tourists, it come from the construction sector, it come from the service industry, it come from the more money that we're spending at parties and all. So basically, it's the amount of money that we are spending in the country over a period of time. That is what GDP is. Debt, I think every human being knows what debt is. So now, when you try to do a ratio between the two, debt to GDP ratio, you are looking at the amount of debt in the country, as Sean said, in comparison to the amount of money that is being spent in the country, or the amount of money or revenue the country is making off of the money that's spent out of our pockets. So, we're working for just enough to survive. Luckily, the government decided to bring in some persons into Barbados from across the region to help increase the GDP, because when I come here and work, got to spend money to live. You got to pay rent, you got to buy food, you got to survive. So, as Sean said, the GDP, the amount of money being spent in Barbados, has increased. But the debt, unfortunately, in comparison to the rise of the amount of money being spent, the raise of the amount of money being spent in Barbados, the debt seems as though it just borderline or flatlining basically. So it just steadily going up, but as it goes up and the GDP goes up as well, the ratio looks as though it's looking better. But as Sean said a couple of years ago, if we were at 5 billion in debt, we are now at 8 billion in debt. Does it sound as though the debt went down? There you go.
Wow.
Yet the GDP went up. Sorry, so the ratio sounds good.
No, yeah.
Optics.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Look, Ms. Rock, I want to ask you, because you are the psychologist here. I'm listening to Sean, and I'm thinking about this $53,000, 53 to 54,000 that every Barbadian carries on their head or on their back, whatever you carry, what, right? In your pocket. How do you think that affects, if we were to truly understand that, how would that really affect Barbadians?
Marcia, as I said in my opening sentences, I'm not here to argue spreadsheet. When I hear from a psychological standpoint, when I hear debt to GDP ratio and these fancy words, for us psychologically, it just means more stress, more anxiety.
Well, thank you, Caroline. Thank you. More stress, more anxiety. Well, this is your turn, and this is where I get a chance to come and come close to a couple of you. And we have some ground rules, all right? So we're not going to not going to call names, and we're not going to insult. We are here to talk about the budget and how it affects you, affects me, all right? And I see this wonderful young lady sitting here. I want to pick on her. You just heard that each Barbadian at this moment, based on the debt per capita ratio, right, that we carry, each of us, we carry $53,000 in debt. Whether we were just born at the QEH, or you looking like you're about 15. Can I just hear from you what that means to you? I want to hold the mic.
Hi, good night, everybody. I am Ariel. $54,000 in debt.
It's
53, 54, however much. I never hold so much money in my life. I don't even know what I look like. I know that I could buy a piece of land. No. Sometimes they find some good deals, if you check out Hannah. I just say, that is a lot of money. That could buy a really nice car with a little extra money left back. That's real enough money. And most people is only work for like $17,000 a month. Sorry. Excuse my tiredness. Most people is work for $1,700 a month. Y'all know what I mean. Right. So $54,000, that's real enough money. You could do a lot with that. A lot.
But the question really that I'm asking everybody, I just kind of segue with that one for you, is what does the budget mean to you?
Oh, the budget felt like a slapping my face to the intelligence of myself and every Bajan, because I personally felt like it was a lot of nonsense. It was a lot of fluff, a lot of big fancy words. And at the end of the day, you could see that the way how they wrote certain parts of it is like, you ain't really thinking about people and their reality. Like, for example, the money that they want to give to the mothers every month who get twins or triplets. Most Bajan women don't get no twins or triplets. We don't know that. Most people don't got the money to even do IVF. So that's a very expensive procedure that don't apply to the vast majority of people. They want more people to have more children, but yet there's no money that they can give you every month just for having a child. Children are expensive. What can $300 a month do or $400 a month do? When you go in the supermarket, if you're trying to buy a few little pieces of vegetables and if you could use formula really expensive. Like, when's the last time these people actually went in the supermarket? I dare them. Go in the supermarket. Anyone of you go in the supermarket with $100 in your hand and try and buy groceries for a week that look healthy. Healthy, you know, because I always want to talk about the new school nutrition policy program, which in a sense, I don't really got no problem with that. But in realistic, because most Bajans cannot afford that sort of diet, and that is spreading to other things like, you know, the NCDs and that sort of trouble that we have, which is get the hospital, you see a hospital that they like to talk about, is get the hospital issues because most people that go in there for amputations and stuff is that they have diabetes, and diabetes most of the time, type 2, is caused by the way that you eat.
Yes. Wow. What a mouthful. Give her a hand, please. Yes. So I picked on you, but I'm going to ask if you want to say it. Tonight you want to state what the budget means to you. I'm going to ask you, put your hand, come right up. I saw that hand, come right up. Does this work for the camera that they're standing here? Does that help? Yeah? Come right here, please. Come and join me. Can you tell us your name, please?
I am Pauline.
You're Pauline?
Yes.
Yes, and what does the budget mean to Pauline?
Well, I came here today to say that like the panelists here, I commend the government for the gifts that they have given the public. But when you really sit down and think about it, it's like preparing to make yourself sick with diabetes. You eat a lot of sweets, and you know there are repercussions for that. If you eat badly, if you eat too many sweet things, you end up with diabetes, right? So even though it may look good on the outside, chances are that when we start to, in a few months' time, we're going to see that it really is not benefiting us. And one of the things I would have liked to hear them talk about is really securing food for the people. Because, as everybody has said, it's very expensive to shop in the supermarket, whichever supermarket you shop in by choice. And, you know, I am tired seeing what used to be good agricultural land now being transformed into big houses and commercial enterprises and so on. And I really would have liked some thinkers to think about getting food in the ground for the people of Barbados to eat live food and not having to spend so much money on importing food that is not exactly live food. I mean, we need to eat potatoes, and we need to eat yams, and we need to eat eddos, and we need to eat carrots. Many people can't afford those things. So when you give the grants, when you give reduction in personal taxes, when you give an increase in the tax credit and so on, when you go to the supermarket, it has no value, or it has little value. It has little value. So that's how I feel about it. That's the most striking thing to me. It's like preparing me to get sick. Yeah?
Thank you so much. Thank you. Give her a hand. Give her a hand. Anybody else? Yes? Is it? Yeah, sorry.
Hallelujah. Good to stand up. Thank you. My name is Cleveland. Yes. And I have a lot of questions, but I'm going to just answer this one right now. What I would like to know is, did we vote a government in to feed us? Did we do that? Or did we ask the government to be here to help us to thrive? In other words, so that we would have things put in place that each and every last one of us can use our giftings or talents or whatever to make all of us better. I have a problem with that. So,
How does that relate to the budget?
right. Because when you're going to tell me in 3 months, you're going to give me this gift. After 3 months, what? I know it. Say that the best thing happened, that fuel went down instead of going up. Say that other people in overseas was able to make things right and get things down to a barrel being about $40 or $50 a barrel. Would that transmit? I'm not sure, because every year it goes higher and higher and higher. So I have a problem with that. 3 months? I don't think it's satisfactory. It's just too little at this point, too little.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Come, sir. Right, give him a hand, you know, it takes courage. Good night.
Yes, good evening. My name is Ronnie Hall.
Yes, sir.
First, this government, this budget has no substance. First, you got to do job creation. Just create taxes. Once you go and get taxes, you get growth in the country. That's what we need right now. But what here in the budget, there's no substance going to come with job creation. Youth is hurting. That's where we got a lot of crime going on right now. So basically, we got to get back now to the roots of going again jobs creations, creating new jobs, get more training for going like the youth and people are favorably considered to go and got advantage to going to get job training, and also they have got advantage to so that young people could get more education so that they could build themselves from there. So when you go back to the roots back again, education now, you got to put more money in education. That will part of the structure happens. So when you get the foundation, you build the tower from there. Yeah, so that basically, you know, this budget is like you put the carrot before the horse.
So let me ask you, as a young person, you spoke about job creation, right? How does the budget? I don't know if you listen to all of it, because you know they're talking about jobs in technology, that you know they're going to lots of jobs will be created in that area. How does that impact you as a young person hearing that?
Well, one, AI, that is job cuts because they got robots to do the job. They got robots to do the job. And that's disadvantaging people now to really get their hand into the field of have multiple jobs that they will want to go on and want opportunity to do. So basically, you know, you're crippling each country with this AI. And I say this is an aging population, a very aging population. So basically, you know, right, it's only the youth, and a few of the youth is get advantage with this AI. But not everybody, and plus to go and study AI, finance. And we are in a real crisis right now, a financial crisis.
So you're thinking, so you said for you, it's no substance for you. No substance. Thank you so much, Sharone.
Another thing I have to say now too, right? I would like the government to really get back to the old school a little bit and start wanting to put the carrot before the horse. And trust me, we will build from there.
Thank you. Thank you.
Another thing too, I would like really to do a survey all over Barbados in every household, because when they say that the unemployment is 6%, I don't believe so. That's lies.
You don't believe that. Thank you so much, Teroni. Give him a hand, please. Give him a hand. Listen, this is the citizens responding to the budget. This is our time. All right? This is our time, and we are saying, how does the budget impact us? Can you come this side, sir? What's your name, please?
My name is Chulang Searles. Chulang. Chinese. Okay, but I'm Belgian born though. St. Peter. I don't know what to call it. It's the dumbest thing you ever heard. You want to give somebody $300 and $100 every month for the impossible, right? You want her increase income tax levels and reduce corporate tax. Make no sense? Because if you increase income tax level, you reduce the income to the government. This government for the last 4 years, I have no apology, has been worse than a person with a credit card. Because credit card is a form of debt, and Bajans are living on debt. This government is sending an example to the Bajans. We can run this nation on debt. So debt GDP means nothing, right? There's no substance in it. It's a hopeless budget. There's no hope for the young people to leave University of West Indies, to leave Barbados Community College, to leave the Polytechnic, to leave skills training. Let me talk about skills training. You're giving these skills training jobs to the Colombians. You're giving nurses jobs to the Nigerians and the Ghanaians and all sorts of people that, and they work well. But every year we graduating doctors at university, and we lack doctors at the hospital. Nurses at BCC, we lack nurses. And we got an alien population, not aging, an alien population, a frustrated population, because Bajans find it hard to make ends meet.
What's that?
And you are not concerned about cause stress. You are concerned about yourself and those who support you to get where you are. That's the truth. You don't care about the people who elect you, right? So to me, it's a senseless budget, because in order for you to spend more, you have not even shown me how you're going to earn more. The government needs to earn more without taxation. This government was designed by Barra and Adams to earn income independent or dependent on the public and the private in taxes. But this government hasn't shown any signs that it will gain income unless it borrows and it taxes the hell out of the residential people. Because it gain away everything to the private sector. You just cut corporate tax again.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. But before we go to the audience, there's something, Sean, that he said, and I think because in the budget, and from time to time I will go back to the panelists. There's something he said about increase in income tax, but I think there's a 1% reduction in income tax. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, there's a 1% reduction.
Can you put the mic a little?
The Minister of Finance did announce a 1% reduction. I think in both bands, over the 35,000, and in both. So it is a 1% reduction
In income tax.
In income
And
tax, not
how
an
significant do you think that is going to be to households?
Between $30 and $50, $60 a month will probably help you to get through better with the groceries.
Buy a chicken?
Buy a chicken. Something, but yeah, it's 1% off, it's 1% more. Every little bit helps. Things are really tight. So let's be grateful for the 1%.
Any of the other panelists have anything to say about that 1% decrease in income tax? No? Okay. Yes, come, sir. That is Mr. Lewis. Yes, Mr. Lewis.
I heard the brother here, the panelist spoke about...
Yeah, come on this side, please.
Yeah, spoke about restrained politics. And I will be happy if he will be able to expand on that, because we know as a country that some sentiments were echoed, concerns, or tools being employed by government when they started to blame climate change. Everything was on climate change. Then we went to the pandemic. Everything was blamed on the pandemic. And I'm just wondering now, when we look at this whole concept of restrained politics, we have a war, and a war that will affect us significantly. There's no question about it. I heard Sri Lanka now made a decision that in order to conserve fuel, what they're doing is to have bank holiday. Every Wednesday of every week, the island just shuts down with a view of saving that fuel. That is the step, and that's the fourth, number four, they rated number four as far as growth of their tourism sector is concerned. We have transitioned from the plantocracy into tourism. And where are we going then as a country now where our chief source of income will be from tourism? And we know that Sri Lanka is a very wealthy country, and they have taken that step. So I really want to hear from the panelists the whole concept of restrained politics. When will we be feeling that pain? Because this budget is only a drop in the bucket.
But before we go to the panelists, I want to ask you personally, how does the budget affect you?
Well, I love when I heard the gentleman spoke about restrained politics, because when I saw what was coming through, I said, well, that isn't what I'm seeing here as far as this $300 and $100 is concerned. That is not really where we're at. When we're looking at the depth that we're in as a country, when we look at over the years where Barbados is rated in terms of debt, what is this budget doing to really impact on the depth of this country? When we look at where tourism has gone in Barbados, we're talking about bringing in people. All the millionaires and billionaires are coming in and taking up all the coastal front, having that large slice of the cake as far as the tourism sector is concerned, while our land is out there either bearing concrete or bearing courage. And then we will have our people bearing diabetes because we are not producing what we ought to produce. So restrain politics. The worst is yet to come.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Kevin, or which any one of you want to respond to that?
Again, I love to simplify things. So restraint politics in the most simplest form right now. So as I was explaining, restraint politics basically is just a systematic way of using limitations and boundaries to control events at a particular time. I like to use how COVID went as a perfect example. So during COVID, I don't know if you all ever heard the slang, order through chaos. When there's a situation going on, situations, we use these situations to bring new policies, new procedures to control how people react or how people do certain things. So the lockdown was a form of restraint politics, where because of the big pandemic, the worldwide pandemic, we can use that to say, well, hey, we need you to stay inside for X amount of time until this passes. So you know what? As a government, I have that power because of the chaos going on right now. So when I say that we feel as though we are returning back to restraint politics, to me right now the administration has me feeling, and this is just my opinion, if anyone else shares it, so be it, but it's just my opinion that especially now with all the turmoil going on internationally, all the wars and everything, right now we are going to put on this nice fancy looking budget, we are going to make a lot of promises. But in 3 months to come, with everything going on internationally, we have a reason to say, I am sorry, but we cannot do it because of certain situations.
Yes.
Yeah?
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. What does the budget mean to you? Yes. You want to come? This is going to be short. She said one thing.
Yes. Good evening. My name is Judy. The budget is a slap in your face. First, because I don't like the short term nothing. I want long term. I want my pension to be long term, not only for just this year only. And another thing too, I need the young people to get jobs. They're desperate in need of jobs. If they don't find jobs, it's going to be more violence.
But can I I say something to you? That as far as I remember, and the others can correct me, I think they have a relief in there for pensions, pensioners. I think it's $100 a month. Yeah?
Yeah, but I want it for long term. For a year. For a year. That's why just are you? No short term, nothing.
Okay, I see. Okay.
I need pension. I don't know how long the Lord have me here on this earth. I need my pension to continue to rise, not drop. And not only for a year. So the BLP, please keep my pension up, not down. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Thanks for that corrections. Everything is short term. Anybody else? You ready? What does it mean to you? This is good. Okay, they want us over here.
My name is George Haynes.
George Haynes.
Yeah. I have a twin.
You have a twin?
Yeah. One, the boy is 6'9", and the girl is about 5 feet a little. What I was saying, when I heard the budget, I was wondering the amount of money that was stated to a twin and also for triplets or more. I was saying that if they had a prediction or something, or in some way to know how much, according to the money that them said they would give, how much that twin or triplet they were looking for, and if they don't have that, what the money would go to. Also, another point that I have, in the government, I know of a person who is qualified, and I never hear this mentioned in the last budget or this budget, and the person is qualified, and person less qualified is getting more money than that person, and that person is training people to do the same job. And I want to know why they didn't do something to that.
There was nothing in the budget?
Nothing in the budget concerning that.
Okay.
Right.
Good point. Thank you so much. Anybody wants to respond to what he was saying about how people are being paid? Anybody? No? Nothing? All right. Anybody else? What does the budget mean to you? How is it impacting you, what you've heard? You might find something in the budget that you really, really, it's very positive for you. It's not all negative.
What does the budget mean to me?
Can you give us your name, please?
My name is Kathy Weiss. The budget means that expect taxes to come 2 or 3 months from now. Yeah, expect it, because it's going to come.
Why?
Because based on the way they do business, they always want money for one thing or another. And if we squeeze them for not borrowing, they got to get it somewhere else. And all this money that they're putting out, where did it come from? Is it the money that we borrowed, or did it come from the taxes that we paid? Also, the taxes, well, during the campaign, in particular the DLP was preaching that the VAT can be cut. Yet, I'm hearing them in their budget speech saying certain areas, the VAT is going to be cut. And they were saying that that is not a good move to make. Yet, they're making it on agricultural items, including the cameras, etc., and some other areas I can't remember right now. They're actually cutting the taxes for them. Short term, nevertheless, but in my mind, if they had cut the taxes across the board, however little, yes, however little, I think that the public would have been served better.
Okay. Now, I want to keep you a little longer. You're a farmer. And is there anything in the budget that appealed to you as a farmer?
I'm thinking. I'm still thinking. Sorry, I can't come up with anything at the moment.
And you're an active farmer because you produce and you sell, right?
Correct. Correct.
Okay. Well, there you go. There you go. You know, anybody else? Anybody else? What does it mean to you? How is it affecting you? Is there anything in there in the budget you said, yes, you know what, I think that is going to serve me well? You know, or you dread what you hear in the budget? Creating jobs for the young people. Right. You have more to say? Let me get somebody else and then I'm going to get to you. Yeah. Yes. Anybody else? Man, I think you have something to say. No? They will lock you up? Is someone coming? Yes.
Good night. I'm Nicole.
Yes.
On hearing or listening to the budget, I thought that there were some good things on the face of it.
Let's listen to Nicole. Let's listen to Nicole.
I thought there were some good things on the face of it that would be appealing to a cross-section of persons, the pensioners, low-income earners, middle-income earners, especially. They tend to be the ones that get squeezed in the middle. They bear the brunt of taxes and fees and so on, but receive, in my view, few benefits. So I thought that would appeal to persons from a wide cross-section of areas. But I listened to what was said, but I was also hoping that I would hear a bit more. And those things that were not said, pertaining to what have we actually generated in income from the taxes that have been already charged. Fuel tax, we've recently had this resilience and fee that's being collected through the NIS system. You know, we've been taxed on salt and sugar, all manner of taxes, sewage. You know, what have we generated thus far in these areas? We haven't heard that they've been removed. So perhaps they are serving a purpose. Let us know. You know, so we seem to have been told what the government thinks we need to know, but there are the things that we would like to know. I personally would want to know as well. Just how much are you generating from this? There's a 2% charge on purchases that are made online. Yes. That has not been removed. It is earning something. What is it? So these are things that are generated, are positives, I believe, for the government. Help us to understand where you are getting your income from. Because whilst we hear about the credits that will be given, the reverse tax credit increases and so on, how are you going to generate the income, or how have you been generating the income to be able to give these tax credits? And, you know, the minister has spoken about the bounty. The bounty, what's included in the bounty? You know, that we should be able to share in. You know, help us to understand. I would like to hear a bit more about where we are with the loans. How much do we really owe to who and for what purpose? You know, so there are things that were not said. Secondly, there were things that we are seeking to launch out to do, such as building flyovers to ease traffic congestion. We're about to conduct some sort of town hall meetings on this matter, but at the same time, we haven't really dealt with the transportation and the road infrastructure that is already existing before we look to build new ones. There's serious congestion in St. Thomas, Canefield, Bridgefield, Cane Garden, that area there, Shop Hill. You know, you're just shunting traffic from one area to another, and these roads seemingly are not finished. We're not sure why they're not finished. Other things not said, just before elections, we had some concerns about the hospital. We heard the PM, she said measures will be put in place. What measures are those, So these are things that have not been said. These are things that existed before election. I hope it is not that we are looking to just move forward. We started a clean slate, new administration, newly elected persons, and we're moving on with these bright and brilliant and fluffy sounding ideas, but we haven't dealt with the existing ones that, are concerns for the general public, and that really need to be dealt with, that we have to face day to day, that make our lives a little less bearable.
Well, thank you so much. Very well said. Thank you. Thank you, Nicole. Thank you, Nicole. Anybody else? Because I'm going to change the question soon to ask you, what didn't you hear? What were you looking for in the budget and you didn't hear? What would you have wanted them to tackle in the budget and it wasn't? Let me see if there's anybody else wanna talk about what the budget means to you. How do you think it's going to impact you? Repeat, sir, can you come, please? Thank you. You were saying something, no? No, okay, he says. No, he's talking to himself? You're coming? Can you come? You have to come because of the camera. Yes. All right, okay. Well, let Teroni and then yourself, if there's not a new person.
Yes. I'm here once again. Also, I want to know why they don't tax the wealthy more to contribute to going to the welfare and social services because they're exhausted right now. People that are fairly considered to get a job should be able to get welfare or some sort of social service. So basically, they're really lacking. So that way, this budget have no substance.
So you don't think that, because there's a lot of welfare in there, a lot of social, they'll say they're doing a lot for society. You're getting pensioners getting $100 and, yeah.
Well, basically, right? That's going only for about 3 months. You call this a year, right? But that's the short term. They can't get nothing long term. Everything's short about going, but even elections, everything's short. So I don't know how things could be long term for them there. They need to get back to the drawing board. If they can't get their act together, hand over government. Simple and easy.
Thank you, Teroni. Now, I think there was, who is it? Oh, yes, go.
I heard some person mention this whole idea of the closed circuit cameras, right? And I really want to caution Barbados on that. Now, I've taught in schools as a technical teacher. I've studied mechanical and electrical engineering, electronics, everything. I've installed in my house, the whole idea of solar systems. I have my batteries, the solar panels, charge controller, the inverter, everything. I have it there, right? Now, those things are very costly to maintain. And when we think of government really giving some incentives, because we talk about homes setting up these systems and then tying to the grid. And that has posed quite a lot of challenges for people because I've seen many homes in Barbados with the solar voltaic panels on the roof. The whole system is set up, but they can't tie to the grid because of the manipulation of the political environment with respect to light and power, etc. We were looking at giving a lot of incentives for the importation for duty-free for solar power. Now, a friend of mine came to me this evening and said, I want to get a dash cam. I said to him, I have a dash cam in my vehicle. It has been there now for quite a long time. You know, it carries the SD card, and I have the camera to the back and to the front. So everything that happens records. But I have never downloaded anything from the SD card so that I can hand to the police. So I'm looking at what is being said relative to these closed circuit systems in your homes and the dash cams as a means to help crime in Barbados. So my concern is that when I install a dash cam in my vehicle, is it that I will only benefit from duty-free? When I have got to carry evidence to the police, I saw a very passionate report being given by the representative, you know, the PR for the police force. And it really concerned me there to see, you know, the emotions being echoed on the recent activity we had at Cambridge. And it really took me back to what we would have seen in the Parliament yard, walking to Parliament. I mean, I saw a big conflict of interest where you had walking the yard of Parliament an individual who've been, should I say, benefited, inverted commas, from crime, but got the chance to walk those aisles. And now we're having a passionate plea being given by a member of the police force for us to install cameras so that we can help. But why didn't our leader help? Why didn't our leader seek to convey that it is not in the best interest for us to be heading in this direction where you can carry an individual, right? An individual up the parliamentary steps. And when we look at that individual, we carry some significant question marks. I don't really want to elaborate, you know, but it really concerns me. When we're going in a direction now where we're asking Barbadians to put in dash cams, Barbadians to put up cameras, and we will give you duty-free. What did the leader of this country do to Barbados when we saw an individual walk in the aisles? And that is that same individual who's asking us now to install dash cams and get duty-free cameras. I'm saying it's a matter of caution. It's a matter of concern. Do we want to take our little monies and spend it on those things, duty-free, to think that we are doing something? I'm saying to Barbadians, that is not the direction that we want to go as a country, because it really concerns me. I would have cameras at home, all set up, but it requires maintenance. It is at a cost. We would import several solar systems, even solar lamps now. All right? And you install them. I would have had for a floodlight coming out of the United States, $300 and something for a flood lamp would last a few years. When you go in Barbados now and you see so many of them flooding your phones, you know, flooding your not WhatsApp, you're flooding with all the social media platforms, right? You would have seen them. And you know very well. My brother said to me, you know, I put up a light there and it looked good. I said, how long did it last? 3 months. You know, you buy a solar lamp. How long does it last? So we are having a lot of those now, flooding the market. And I want to say to you, for me, I've installed many of them. All right? And they all go to the dump. All right? You spend $70+ $100+ on a solar light. How long does it last? Does it really, in actual fact, see a significant benefit from going the direction of solar? It's new technology. In the market, we're being impacted here, there, and everywhere. All right? But sit down and critically ask yourself the question, do you want to go that direction as far as solar systems are concerned? I'm saying it is a highly questionable venture, and I wouldn't advise that we jump on the bandwagon. I said to my brother, hold it. He said, I want to get a dash cam. I said, hold it. Don't go that direction as yet. because I've had one, and I really can't tell you about the benefits. I can tell you I have recordings, but I really can't tell you about the benefits. So be careful.
Thank you. Very well said. Wow. Awesome. Awesome. Now, I want us to think about what didn't you hear in the budget? You kind of touched on some things, but what were some of the areas or what policies were you looking for? Is there anything that you were listening for you didn't hear? Yeah? Come.
I'm back again. I was looking for a promise that was made to be kept. The promise of 2.5% off of the VAT. And to my recollection, I didn't hear anything.
And that promise was made from?
It was made by Barbados Labour Party in 2018. And again, it was visited by the DLP. And I'm hearing little tits and bits there about what they're going to do. It is not the same thing. They're not giving you what you deserve. Now, you're talking about debt. If we have an importer importing a product, he is going to import that product, and then he's going to put duty on it, and then there's going to be VAT put onto that. It's compounded, and then the VAT. When he sells it to the wholesaler is going to sell it to retailer. You know what he's going to do? He's going to put on VAT on it as well. And when the retailer now starts to sell you, that's the third time you're going to get 17.5% on that. What I'm saying is that if we had a 2.5% decrease from the get-go, our pockets would look very good. You see what I'm saying? So why didn't we get the relief there? Because we want to be able to manufacture. And if we're going to manufacture chickens at home, that little bit we got saved from the VAT would buy a few hundred chickens in it. You can buy a sheep or two in it. You can be able to plant some, even hydroponics in it. You'll be able to do something to decrease the bill that you have for the food. The food bill will be decreased. We have an opportunity to do that, but they didn't visit it. And that's my problem. That's my problem.
So you wanted to have heard that?
I wanted to have hear it, but I didn't hear it. And it's, to me, it's like counterproductive. We have the ability to do things. We have the ability to do things. All of us have the ability to do something that can ease our payment at the end of the week or the end of the month for our goods and our food that we need to eat. That's what I'm saying. And from that point, we can start to generate something that is substantial. Now we can say, okay, no, we didn't have those millions in food intake anymore. It's just a bit less. We're generating. Start somewhere, man, and we're not getting it.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Kevin?
Okay. I just wanted to add to what the last two audience members said. What they did just now was a question you asked me earlier. Does the budget benefit the middleman? Mm-hmm. That was a perfect, two good examples there just now. Starting at the first point, coming to the security cameras and what's not. Where they decided to put the subsidies, where they decided to make the tax cuts. Cameras for your home, cameras for your car. Does the average lower income person and middle income person own a car and a home? Who does that benefit? So again, to answer your question, not the low-income person, maybe one or two middle-income persons. Over here, the current administration has the power to make certain choices and decisions. Why would you choose to make the subsidies on things that the average person does not have when you can make an overall, a lady mentioned it earlier as well, when you can make an overall tax cut, 2.5 on the VAT, that was promised ever since, so that everyone across the board can feel it. You refuse to look at the majority of the population just to say, hey, I want it to be said that I give them something. But who is the them? And that is the question. Yeah?
Very interesting. Sean, this 2 point, they said that the 2.5% cut on the VAT, that it couldn't work. I remember them saying that it couldn't work. And a citizen here saying that they were hoping that this would happen because it would affect everybody. Why do you think that was said?
I can't exactly get into the head of the administration where they wouldn't do that. Because I remember distinctly hearing during the recent campaign that it would not redound to a reduction in cost of living, but somehow or another targeted cuts, in VAT can redound to the benefit for people for the various items and so on and so on. But the government is very fond of very targeted giveaways, very targeted and specific, initiatives. And VAT is a significant revenue earner for the government. And looking at yes, it would ease the average Barbadian. It certainly would. It would affect the cost of living for the average Barbadian, but it will also affect the government revenue. And I think the government might have chosen government revenue over the comfort of the people. I think that was the calculation. I can't say for sure, but I would think that was part of the reasoning. The government revenue, what the government would lose the revenue, and so on.
Is there anything you want to add to that, Carolyn?
What I would sum this up from observation is that this government is not empowering the citizens. This government has chosen to make the citizens dependent on them. When you give short term, and I would even go as far as to say in employment, when you are giving contract employment, I have got to be good to you to retain my contract. I see you as the king, and I look up to you, and I will support you, and I'll do everything for you just to maintain my contract. So you have me, in a sense, I am dependent upon you, and that's what you really intend of me. Now give me a steady job, and I'm able to go and get a mortgage. I'm able to do stuff and empower myself and improve my living. You give persons $100, you give the pensioners $100 a month, and you don't even add it to pension to say, well, look, pensions have increased by $100. You're going to give persons $100 a month. Now, who knows who is going to get the $100? Maybe those who are good, and those who are not so good might not get it. Who's going to monitor that? So instead of giving us the monies and empowering us, we can decide, okay, I'm getting an extra $100. Maybe I'm going to put that to savings. I'm empowered. My savings are increased. But, the way you are doing it, I don't know when it's going to come, if it's going to come. I'm dependent upon you. And besides, it's just a temporary thing. Come on now. You really look at us and give us $100.
Can you come and say that in the mic, please? I'd love to hear it. I got to make sure they hear it.
$100.
That's so funny. Thank you. Were you finished, Caroline?
Yes.
Yes. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. But I don't know if you're able to see any comments online, Dave, if we have any questions there. And any comments online that we can also go to. But what else would you have liked to see in the budget? Yes, you got to come. And the reason why we want you to come is because of where the light is and where the camera is. People are watching at home, okay? So please bear with us.
I would have loved to hear that they were going to cut the costs on the items in the supermarket. I wasn't expecting it, but I was hoping to at least, hear something. And I have a question. I'm not sure when I should ask this question, but there's a statement and then a question. When the proposals for the budget was being offered and the beginning of the budget, I'm not sure when it actually happened. The Minister Strong said that they had to make an adjustment to the finances, yes. $500 million. Right.
So I think the revenue was $200 million, and that they reduced that by, and I'm sorry. Oh, sorry. And the expenses. I'm sorry. The expenses was $300 million, right? And the revenue is $200 million.
Okay. All right. The money that they're offering the public via the tax cuts, the $100 for the year, for the month, etc., where is that money coming from? How were they able to do this? Was it money that was borrowed? Was it money that was collected? Where did that money come from? Hence, the question why I asked, why did they not cut the taxes where the craft? Because if they have money to put out like this, and that is millions of dollars, millions and millions of dollars, why not cut the tax? And that same money could go and do whatever they were trying to collect the money for.
Yeah? Anybody want to answer that or tackle that? No? 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 Yes, 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 sir. And again, what didn't you hear in the budget
sorry,
that
Marcia.
you would have wanted to hear? Yes.
To the same statement just now, I would have alluded to it while I was speaking, sorry, in terms of the same tax projections for the $2 million and the cuts in expenditure by $300 million. Again, that is why, as another one of our colleagues said, there was no substance because they did not break down or answer these questions where these cuts are really leaning on or where it's going to land when these cuts come into place. But as this corporation tax, as I said, these are the businesses, these are the CEOs, these are the entrepreneurs of big businesses, because don't get me wrong, these tax cuts or corporation tax don't go to the average man that has a little car wash shop or a little bar in the city or a little, it does not go to those persons, that average person. So unfortunately, as I said, every business is in the business of making money. So when these tax cuts come and this cuts in expenditure, and when they say cuts in expenditure, the amount of money that the companies are is going to have to spend basically. The companies are not going to make a loss. Companies do not ever try to do anything to make a loss. So I can guarantee you the consumers, the employees, the average person, this is what part of this money is going to be coming from. Similar to a loan, the debt has to be paid. Something has to be paid, and unfortunately, as I said with the GDP, it is the amount of money being spent by the persons in the country, the persons visiting the country, and the persons working in the country. So unfortunately, that is one of the basic answers to your question. We are going to have to help pay this.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
There was no focus on agriculture. Now, no, they didn't focus. Plus a little, they didn't. Now, you had COVID, you had a problem with shipments. We got tons of wars up in the Far East. We got the Russians versus Ukrainians. the Israelites versus the Palestinians, and not the Israelites and America against Iran. So we began got an issue with shipping. And now focus on increase in agricultural production and subsidizing it to the point where the food becomes affordable. How you want to, as my friend said, how you want the children to eat healthier, and you ain't subsidizing agriculture to produce the food for them to eat healthy. You ain't subsidizing it, you ain't concerned about it. You know what they're concerned about? Let me build some nice big concrete buildings and allow the hotels to come and prop up, build all around Bridgetown and all down the West Coast. For people that come that don't even spend the money in hotels because you book online. So really money goes when you pay online. You don't get any commercial back in Barbados. What comes from the hotels is what the tourists spend here. And what they spend is a fraction of what they pay to stay here. Right? So there needs to be a drive for the improvement of agriculture in Barbados because the Eastern Caribbean countries, they do it. They have more food in abundance than us that we buy food the same that we can grow from them. You don't sell what you have in scarcity. You sell what you have in more than abundance. So you need to get your art. If you can't grow cucumbers, but you can grow cassavas, let's have a drive for cassavas. We had a drive for cane. We grew cane, we were able to sell cane, but then something happened. Let me find crops that can grow them in abundance to export, while being able to supply the market at a very affordable price. But they're not concerned about that because agriculture don't fund campaigns.
All right, wow, I tell you, quite interesting. Anybody else, what you expected to hear in the budget and you didn't? You were hoping that at least they would have done, touched on this or made some changes in policy, something in the budget to benefit the people, and you didn't hear it.
Well, what I wanted to hear, but was very disappointed to not hear, there was nothing to address the issue of crime, the issue of how the guns getting in here.
But they said they're going to do 2-gun courts, though.
Well, that is not going to solve the issue of people shooting people. So what they did is they just create a solution to deal with what happens after the crime is committed. But what they're going to do to fix the problem of people shooting people? Nothing. Nothing at all. So, I mean, like, every day, almost every day now, you're hearing about this shooting, that shooting, here and there. Sometimes mass shooting, one person get killed. Which part the guns coming from? They do nothing to address that. They do nothing to address, like, finding out what causing people to even want to kill people. If it's gangs, if people are angry, if it's people hungry, you don't know. They're not conducting any kind of study because we might say, yeah, is it youth, is it cost of living, they got no job. It might got another reason. There's no investigation as to what is going on. None of that was brought up. Also, the drugs that the youth using. All I hear a few days ago was the main ingredients that you could buy in Barbados to make these drugs from a reporter. I do not understand pictures of how colorful the drugs look. It look like candy. So, y'all see pictures, right? They look like candy. The colorful like Skittles. And they're just telling you what ingredients to use to make these things. It was the main ingredients. And I ain't hear nothing in this budget to address the drug use among the children, the youth, and the rest of people that getting into these things. Because these gonna affect the way how people think, how they behave. It might cause some people to commit crime. All of this is a part of crime. There's nothing to address that. They want people to get more children. Let me go back to this whole thing about the twins and the triplets, right?
You ready for some twins?
Well, if I get enough money, I don't mind. But right now, I brat. So people that brat like me ain't gonna get no twins and triplets. But if they want people to get more children, if you can give people more money for the more children that they get, then how about for every child, you get X more amount of money per month? How about you make maternity leave at least something useful, because 14 weeks is a slap in the face. 14 weeks, you still can't do nothing for yourself. If you get a C-section, you can't do nothing in the 14 weeks. Make that there at least 1 year though. At least 1 year. I even want here 6 months. At least a year, paid.
You think that they would actually do that?
Of course not. They would never do such a thing to help the people of this country. Never. And if they're doubting me, well, I want to see them go ahead and put some policies in place to encourage the women of this country to get children, because children are expensive. I want to know why the payment for the twins and the triplets stop when the children turn 5. We all know why it stopped when they turn 5, because that's when they really start to get expensive. And they don't want out that star money. Because when you're going to spend $500 to $600 every school year, they won't be outing that out to nobody.
So you're thinking it's not really genuine. It's not genuine.
Of course not. They don't really actually care about us. If they cared about us, then they would show it with their actions, with their words, and with their policies. But they just want to write up some pretty little things. Oh, you can get this amount of money if so-and-so happen. You can get this $5,000 child allowance when the child turned 18. We don't know what's going to happen 18 years from now. They might backtrack on our policy like how to backtrack on the rest. So when you're thinking, yes, my child about to turn 18, they can get $5,000 to help them, I don't know, get a license, buy a little second-hand car that is very, 10th hand at that point.
So these things you didn't hear and you wanted to hear?
I hear none of these things. I hear nothing that's really useful to Bajans other than the fact that you could bring in things duty-free up to, I think it's 75 US now, 60, 75 US now. No, that is kind of useful. That will help with certain things. That's probably the only good policy that I hear out of the whole bunch, to be honest. But I ain't really see them put nothing in place to help with the cost of living. Because at the end of the day, when they go in that supermarket, a half of broccoli costs about $5.
A lot of people can't even buy broccoli.
Exactly. You can't even buy a piece of broccoli. How are you going to feed a child? How are you going to feed 2 children, 3 children? I'm sure that they would love us to have 10. But where the money going to come from?
Well, thank you so much. Very, very well said. Very well said. Mr. Fanis, you know, I'm picking on you. You listen to that budget. Is there anything that you wanted to hear on behalf of the youth of Barbados and you didn't hear? Come, you gotta come. Come on this side.
This side? Mm-hmm. Okay. So, hi, good evening, everybody. So, what I had listened to and what I was expecting was that I'm seeing a lot of short-term measures, right? I'm not seeing measures that deal with like medium to long-term. And if they do deal with the long-term, it's when your child gets 18, you know, and they probably will get some sort of trust back in terms of regards to the how old they are and you being a national citizen or whatever. But my thing is that with the youth, when you look at the median income threshold, which means that you take all the incomes together and you do an average, those persons who earn high to medium to low, the measures that would affect those persons who earn low income to median income is just like a plaster. It doesn't really do anything to address how you are going to navigate the cost of living in Barbados. So imagine that you are somebody who works and you're getting $100 back, whether you fit between a particular threshold or you are a non-contributor pensioner or a pensioner. First of all, it's not $100. It's actually $72.50 because you got to take out $17.50 for VAT. So it's not actually $100, it's $72.50. So when you divide that over 30, I don't know if anybody got a calculator, but it's less than $3.33. So you're probably talking about a day, right? So that really does nothing for you. My thing is that if we are talking about bringing relief to those persons who are already working and those persons who are pensioners, we've not really taken into consideration those young persons who are coming out of school, who might go on to tertiary education. Because look at it this way, when you come out of school, you're either going to tertiary education, employment, or unemployment. And that is 60% of our young people who are coming out of school straight into unemployment. So there's nothing there really. There are some measures that address where they put things in place where that probably young people can access certain programs, but that is not each and every single person. So young people now are still being, in a sense, I don't want to say ignored, but they're not being thought of. So we're not talking about rent assistance. We're not talking about job assistance. We're not talking about being able to address the cost of living for young persons who come out of school, who probably did not attain the level of education and experience to attain a job. Because for me, when I came out of school and I was trying my best to get a job while studying, I was, in a sense, excluded because I didn't have a certain level of experience. So then still we are not considering our young people. And we have to really start looking at, social empowerment. Because social empowerment is a human right. I did not see policies where it helps people who are inside like certain constituencies to help pull themselves up. And on Southwood, and pulling themselves up, pulling up the constituency as well. Being able to use policies that not only help them to build up the constituency or community, but to build up themselves. So that is where I am seeing the gap, because there is a chasm between low and medium in earners and high earners. There is a chasm. Those persons who have high incomes will always be able to navigate this economy. But those persons who have low to medium incomes will not be able to really navigate it as much. And the policies that have been put in place does not help you to close, in a sense, the laceration, the deep laceration. It's just a plaster on a laceration. So that is where I feel as if like where we have fell down in this budget. But when I give my response, my full written response, then I'll be able to give you a more in-depth analysis.
Wow, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. I see some more young men who just walked in there. And so what we're talking about, we're looking at what did we not hear in the budget that we were, we're a little disappointed that we didn't hear. How about housing? You touched on that for especially millennials. young people who want to move out and, you know, they just got married and they want to get a home. You know, we're in terms of the future, that was a low blow. Yes, come, Jamal. These young warriors here, you know.
Hi, good evening.
What's your name, sir? What's your name, sir?
My name is Jamal Sandiford. Okay. You may know me as a gentleman that ran against the Prime Minister in the past elections. All right? Now, for me, thank you. For me, I do something called event management, right? And when you look into event management, there's something called a budget, funny enough. And when you do a budget, it is not just a fee. It's actually a list of things, or we call a criteria, in which we use to plan for how we're going to solve problems. You're using money to allocate to solve problems. Now, Kevin, I know you're writing this down, because I see you taking notes, right? Now, when you do a budget to solve problems, the number one thing you want to do is you need to do a needs assessment. You need to find out exactly what needs to be done before you start calling out figures. Now you have to ask myself, did the question of if the government did a needs assessment? Because Finance Now point out very clearly that they're offering you a one-off, well, not a one-off, $100 per month for seniors. And they have to answer the question, is that enough? $2.41 per day. Is that enough? No, the reason I ask this is because when they go on a canvas for the 3 months which they gave me before the spring elections in the Prime Minister's constituency, that's not what I'm hearing. I'm hearing that people need a home improvement program. So $2.50 ain't doing nothing for nobody. That's the first thing. That is the first thing. The second thing is when they go canvassing, I'm hearing young people that slightly older than me, because I'm only 26. I was the youngest in the general elections to be contesting. I'm hearing younger people in their 30s and early 40s telling me, do better than her. Do better. And the reason is because they're older people who are having financial issues. I mean, I don't think they really understand the strain in which the local people are under. You have a pensioner. A pensioner, in some cases, is the backbone of the household. Imagine that when this young person, because we're dealing with a high underemployment rate, which I don't know where they're getting their figures from. But when they canvass, I'm seeing a high underemployment rate. So I don't know where they get these figures from. But so imagine that the one person that's guaranteed or supposed to be, because at times they don't get their pensions, the one person who's supposed to be guaranteed to get a financial income is the pensioner. And you can tell me you're going to offer them $2.50 per day. When them is the person that got to cover the bills. When it's them that luckily to get a gratuity, because the young people that know coming in can't get in 33 and a third in 3 days. They go wait 33 years and a third. So I wonder, did they do an accurate needs assessment? Because it feels in comparison to what mine is. Now, there's a plethora of things that I could say. Should they be the person to be in office to talk about the budget? There's a plethora of things. But I will wrap up shortly. I will wrap up Freddie shortly. That is just one thing that I could talk for hours on. To me, I don't want to say it's incompetence. I just think that they don't know what they're doing. Right? And I really think that they should really start looking into the young people and seeing what the young people are thinking about. Because unlike them, that they're sitting down and just getting some money and just talking when they feel like we are on the ground. When you see Damian Fanas, he is on the ground. When you see Ramon Goodman, he is on the ground. When you see Dale Rowe, he is on the ground. And Jamal Sandiford never left the ground. So if somebody will say this, the budget is nothing to scream about, it's nothing to clap about, and I pray to God that we get more platforms like this so we could actually share to the public what we are about. Thank you, and good night.
Awesome, 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 awesome. And there it is. You hear it from them. But you know, Ramon, I'm gonna come to you, okay? You know what? I'm gonna stay on the youth. Ramon, come here, please. I'm gonna stay on the youth, right? We're told that the youth is the future, right? You are the future. You hear that? You've been hearing that.
No, actually, the youth is no. The youth is no. Yeah, man.
But listen, we hear it, but you know what? That's what they say, okay? And so when you hear this budget, or you probably read, parts of this budget, what kind of future do you see for the young people in Barbados?
I can be fair with you. A lot of young people would have come to me, and they would advise that they were looking for a reduction in VAT. They were looking for a reduction in VAT, right? In a serious way, And I'm a little surprised that we didn't get that. But that is one thing. Once the Democratic Labour Party we were elected, we would have done. VAT is in all or most transactions, right? No doubt about it. And I believe a reduction in VAT would have caused the people, the ordinary person, to have more spending power, right? The Prime Minister can talk, but VAT is in every transaction or most transactions, right? And I was a big advocate where the reduction of VAT was concerned, right? And I'm a little disappointed where that is concerned, right? Yes, please.
How about, do you find that a lot of the young people, they're not seeing a future in Barbados, that they want to leave, a lot of them want to migrate?
A lot of young people, as you would have seen, in terms of brain drain, the brain drain is a serious concern where Barbados is concerned. A lot of people are going overseas to play their trade, right? And we need to keep the young, innovative minds within Barbados. We need to do that. It is extremely important. I cannot talk about how important it is to keep the young minds in Barbados. We need to do so. And a lot of opportunities have closed off where the young people are concerned. They come to me every day and ask the question, where can I go to find employment? They don't ask for a $100 bill. They don't ask for a little $200 bill. They ask for viable employment.
But Minister Strong said that this is the record low. It's historic, 6.1% unemployment rate.
They talk about unemployment, but he never talked about underemployment. Underemployment is a serious issue in Barbados. Underemployment. We have young people, they're working 2 months on, they're working 2 months off. But they're not working at all. They're unemployed for 2 months. And that is a serious concern for Barbados, right? Because they're not seeing the light at the end of the tunnel where a viable career is concerned. You understand? It's a lot of contract works. It's a lot of contract works. I think the Minister of Labour, he would have talked about the contract works and so forth. And you can go to his office, the Ministry of Labour, and talk about it. So he knows as well about the underemployment.
And the last thing, the youth unemployment rate. Did they mention that in the budget? I don't remember seeing that. Youth unemployment rate. It's about 20%. 20% is the youth unemployment rate. But I don't remember, I can be corrected on that, reading that or hearing that mentioned in the budget.
Yeah, that's the thing, right? Again, we need to focus on the youth, right? Again, I get a lot of youth, they come to me, they ask questions about employment, and they ask questions about a proper career, not just contract works, but a proper career. Some light at the end of the tunnel. That is what the young people are talking about. Now, there's this thing that the young people are not ambitious. They're not looking for work, this and that. And they want to rubbish that notion because that's not the case. If you have 10 people young people come into me, or 10 people that I would have engaged with, you have 9 young people looking for proper careers. And I just want to state that here now in a serious way, right? In a serious way.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Ramon. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Wow. Well, we have about 15 minutes left, but I want us to talk about healthcare. How much, I mean, did we, I'm wondering did I miss something in the budget?
No, you didn't.
I didn't? Go right ahead.
You didn't miss something. The budget missed something.
You want to make a comment on that?
No, but I mean, something should have been said there. It is a major part of difficulty for people in Roberts. The waiting down there. We've seen we've seen the videos going around on social media and so on. We all know the difficulty that we have. We're getting being seen to in a timely manner there and so on. But we didn't hear anything there. We didn't hear about how the government plans to, what plans there are to expand the care, that we can take some of the pressure off there and so on and so on. So I think that was one of the things that was missing. Definitely that was missing. Something should have been said about it.
Yes. Carolyn, anybody about health care? Isn't that strange? That, yeah, we're going to come to you there. Yeah, go ahead. Not health care? Yes, come.
I think I heard that they were going to build 2 new polyclinics and that they were going to be investing in training staff. I think I heard that. I think they mentioned the one in Warrens and the one in Oystons that they were going to rebuild. That's all I heard.
Well, maybe I missed that because sometimes you get distracted, sometimes the phone rings or what. Maybe I missed that in the budget speech, but I did not recall anything there. So if it was said, that's a step forward. And
yeah, but is that enough for what we need? No. Yeah. She was coming. Yeah. Yeah, well, we probably should say what we're going to talk now about what we would have wanted to hear about healthcare in the budget, right?
Well, we did hear about plans to upgrade buildings, infrastructure, whether it's the extension over to the other side of the current Queen Elizabeth Hospital. We're expecting upgrades there and expansion. But it's the people. What happens to the people in the meantime? Who are ill, who are presenting with concerns. We have a polyclinic in St. John that's supposed to have some sort of facilities, but as I understand, it needs to be equipped. So can we not have another facility that can help to deal with people in another part of the island, hopefully? In the meantime, whilst we're upgrading the infrastructure, there are people that still need to be attended to, that have medical needs. And who cannot afford to go to a private medical facility for their operations and so on. So we heard more about the infrastructure, but I don't think we heard enough about the systems or the things that are being put in place, as we did hear about before the election. What are those things, and what costs, or what provisions are being made for those things. But we really need another facility. We've not heard about Harrison Point. That seems to be closed off altogether, and any possibility of it being resuscitated as a medical facility is off the table. So it's the people. What happens to the people in the meantime? It will take a time for the expansion and the upgrades to take place. But whether it's 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, what happens to the people in the meantime?
Well said. Anybody else about healthcare that you would have liked to hear? We're happy that they're going to seem to be rebuilding or building polyclinics. Yeah.
Yes. In the current war that's going on right now globally, they should go enough medications on island. You know, make sure that the equipment in the hospital is up to standard, and etc. Because it's a long-term strategy that we are going at. Because if we have a very critical healthcare, we are in a very dire state in Barbados right now. That is God's truth. And not only that, we need to boost up on the employment because we can't go short of staff in the healthcare. Because short of staff means what? Things would be even more dire and critical. So we gotta really gonna get our, well, not we, the barbers, they probably need to get out together and start looking at petty things and look at the most important. And another thing I have to say, not pertaining really to healthcare, but the need to open back the Trade Bureau because people is being laid off and the answers is not given.
Okay. I've been hearing about that as well. Anything else about healthcare that you thought that you know you should have heard and you didn't hear? Oh, you're coming to me, yeah.
Just a quick note.
Yeah. No, that's fine.
Just a quick note. Now, my thing is, when we talk about healthcare, as I always say, we have to remember the first responders are the most critical. Because as much as we talk about, oh, the man got enough for this, the man got enough for that, when you are the person on the back burner and you want help, you glad when you see them face, right? I'm saying this. Romano touched on a very valid point. You talk about the youth. Now, I can tell you personally, when I canvass, I see the youth are unemployed and the youth want opportunities. I know some youth that are looking to venture into this field. There's not enough for the medical field, health centers. And I recently have been funneling some youth into the hospital because I know the claim is understaffed. So my thing is, I hope that at some point in this budget, when the Minister for Health comes, after I say that there's going to be an inflow of youth or inflow of people into this hospital. It's not just about the Prime Minister walking in one day and saying, well, let nobody put it wrong. We all at some point would have went there. We all would have known the state of the hospital. So what I'm saying is there needs to be an inflow of people, and who better than the youth? Who are willing to learn, who's going to have the longevity within this field to do so. And that's a quick side note, right?
That's interesting. You would have thought that young people want to go into healthcare in Barbados? That's very strange, very different, yeah.
Good night again. My concern is, again, how they're thinking. Train who? Well, we got Barbados Community College producing nurses, environmental health professionals, and pharmacists. And we also have to pay university residency for doctors, nurses, and other medical professionals. Yes, they do. From 2008 until now, we've been graduating doctors, nurses at degree level from University of Western Cape campus. And you scarcely got doctors working full time. Are they really concerned? They said they want to build a new hospital. We outfit North Point as a hospital, and you will continue to use it. We got a lot of people at QEH that need medical attentive care but are not dying, that could have gone North Point to continue their medical treatment while we deal with urgent care at QEH. Build a bridge across. Will you spend a lot of money with all sorts of equipment, respirators, ventilators, things to check your blood pressure, pulse at North Point? Where the equipment gone? Oh, you mean like the money that get lost in Miami? Okay, that one, right. No. But how could you be serious about the welfare and health care of people at Barbados when the opportunity was there or open to you and you just ignore it? You see where I'm coming from? Yeah. So there's nothing in the budget, because this will tell you, a budget, as my friends say, is something you say, I want to build a house. It will cost me $300,000. But I start to build the house, and I'm going to cut corners, and I'm going to say, I'm going to left the painting for next year. I'm going to just do the structure this year. So a lot of things that I say that what I do for $300,000 this year, ain't going to get do this year at all. Understand me? The windows didn't get put in, no, the doors didn't get put in this year. The doors are going to get put in next year, and the building get paid year after. You follow what I'm saying? So this budget is like, we're going to do these things, but I guarantee you, we're going to do half of these things in this financial year. It is a pie in the sky budget.
Thank you. Well, any more on healthcare? Last one on healthcare? Healthcare? But yes, come quickly. And then while she's coming, my very, very last question to everybody, including the panelists. Get ready. Last question. What if the oil prices jump? Are we ready? Hold a second. I want you to think about that. Think about that. Think about that. All right? Yeah.
Healthcare from a different perspective. They talk about food and nutrition in the schools. And I recently went to a sports event at a school. I saw more pink tongue, yellow tongue, red tongue, blue tongues. I was like, I thought they banned these things from schools. So I am confused as to what the policy is really all about, because I thought these unhealthy snacks were not to be sold on the school compound or anywhere near the school for that matter, but they were on the school premises being sold on sports day. And the children were eating them like they were eating food, running on those things, coming back and having a sweet drink, going for more, and I'm like, nobody not seeing the danger? They're not seeing the danger, so I don't know what the school policy is all about, where the banning came in. I have no idea. It just was like diabetes waiting to happen and high blood pressure and all these things. And one other off point, not too far, the Minister Strong said in talking about energy and saving energy and all that sort of stuff, he talked about carpooling, and he said if you need to, you can go public transport. I am not sure if he really meant to say that, right? Because if he really meant to say that, he should have thought first. Public transport, you mean you gotta wait 3 hours before you get your bus? 3 hours. Not exaggerating. You're going in for a 12 o'clock bus, you get in the bus at 3 o'clock or 4 o'clock. I recently saw an elderly gentleman fainted in the line waiting for the bus. You have to go in those bus lines when you go to the bus terminal. You have to go with a snack and a chair. You can be there long, and you don't want to stand out all the time. You're in the line, you got a seat and a snack or two. So that's what I wanted to say.
Yeah. Wow. Wow. Well, let me just because we literally have 10 minutes. We want to talk about oil shock, right? I'm calling it a shock to this economy. What happens? What happens? Let's start with you.
The government has put in place a system to secure the price for oil at what they will import, what they will pay for the imports for the next 3 months. If it is still at that level and beyond 3 months afterwards, I don't know what the government will be able to do. I think it will be capped, but at a higher level again. You would cap the electricity costs and so on, but again at an even higher level, and it will have a negative impact on the economy. There's no way you can get away from it. Describe
that impact for us.
Even though you're going to still get increased shipping costs, even though the government has moved to take like the VAT off the shipping costs. You don't calculate the VAT now on the shipping costs. You're going to get higher shipping costs. You're going to get higher import charges, transport charges. It will ripple through right through because don't forget we're importing most things, and it will create make the cost of living even higher for everyone. It will be a dampener on the economy.
Yeah. Kevin, any thought? Anything you want to add to
Not
that?
much. That is actually quite straightforward. Unfortunately, the ripple effect is going to be felt down to the ants that crawling on the ground, because there ain't going to be much on the ground for them to eat, because there ain't going to be much to throw away. Truth be told.
Everybody going to be careful.
Everybody going to have to be careful, because I say once the oil prices raise, shipping prices going to raise, which mean imports going to raise, which mean products going to raise, which mean electricity going to raise. Everything is going to raise. No matter how much they try to cap certain things, there's certain things that are still not going to be able to control. So, as I say, there's nothing more to add to what Sean said.
And Ms. Caroline, what about the anxiety of Barbadians? Do you think they're worrying about, after these 3 months, what's going to happen? What if this war, continues in a year, 2 years, and we have some challenges with oil prices?
Marcia, even at this moment, before we go on to that, persons are wondering already, what's going to happen after the 3 months? The fact that there's a time limit on it is causing anxiety at this point. So we can well imagine how it would be. The question would be, will the government continue, to cushion? And if the government does that, the people are more dependent again on the government, and are not empowered. So it doesn't matter how you look at it. The citizens, does not benefit. As someone said, the citizens suffer, to put it blankly.
Thank you so much. Anybody wants to add anything else to that before we close? We have another 5 minutes.
2 minutes.
Okay.
All right. I have sheep. The reason I said that, any one person, not to one person tonight that want to buy a ewe and a ram, because it is a serious thing when you realize that we are not producing for ourselves. I don't want to wait on the government to help me. I don't want you to wait on the government to help you. Get ready with the hydroponics, solarponics, your sheep. Man, look, start doing some things at home. It doesn't make sense waiting. Okay, it's not an alarm. It's not an alarm. It's a reality. Okay? Let's start doing something.
Awesome. Any more comment? I think that's a good one to end on. And any comments on that? In case we have increase in oil prices over the 3 months. Yes.
If they have a raise in oil prices, all Barbadians get dead. Because soon for now, you ain't get nothing to eat.
We won't die. We won't die. We will not. We will not. Well, guys, this has been, I think, it's the first time we're doing something like this, and the whole idea is for us to break that culture of silence. We know what's happening with us, in terms of an opposition. We don't have that voice in Parliament to respond to this budget, and we took a chance to do something like this. And I want to thank everybody for coming out this evening. Give yourselves a hand. I want to thank the Democratic Labour Party for renting us this facility. And I want to thank this wonderful couple here for helping us to get it to the standard. Do you like the set? We want to thank Landmark Nurseries for the lovely plants. on the outside, the inside. It really, really so beautiful. Dr. Anthony Wood, if you're listening, thank you, thank you, thank you for all the information that you gave us so that we can make some of us could make presentations tonight. I want to thank Dr. Anthony Wood for that. And of course, look at our panel. They did such a great job. At a short notice, we had to grab them, and they knew that they were the starters, you know, because it's really not even about the panel. It's about you. It's about all of us in Barbados, and we're sorry we could not get any comments online, all right? But next time we do this, we're going to arrange for that. So I want to apologize to those who are watching online that we might have missed your questions or your comments. I know that the chat is saved, and I'm going to go and look at those. And tomorrow night, we are going to be live again on the Marcia Week Show online. All right? Excuse me? Yes. For? Oh, there's somebody you help them to shelter under your umbrella in St. John, and they're saying thank you. Online, can we give the online people who's watching online? We didn't get to include them, but I'm going to include you tomorrow. So tomorrow, the Marcia Week Show, 7 p.m., and you know, we're looking forward for you to tune in. Is this something you want to see more of, this kind of setting? Yeah? So we will continue to work at it. Thank you so much to our streaming team. And the name is gone out of my head right now. KD 34 streaming services. Adrian with the sound, and Mr. Rock who cleared out all of this place for us. Thank you. God bless you guys. Have a wonderful night. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you so much. God bless you. Bless you. Yes.
No migrant